Welcome to our channel, $1 Million Made Easy. This is a channel where we run numbers for people. Got this following scenario I want to look at. Somebody's 34 years old. They haven't been able to save anything so far, but they can save $300 a month starting now. Expect Social Security of $1,200 a month, and they want to know what their numbers might look like in 30 years. So we're going to look from age 34 to 64. This is one of the spreadsheets that we use on this channel. Let's go ahead and put in the info here. 34 doesn't have anything saved up right now, but can save $300 a month. And we're looking from age 34 to 64 for the next 30 years. So what we do on this channel is we use the actual returns that have actually happened for the last 100 years, and project ahead what similar returns might do for you. Now, obviously, it ends up being a wide possible range of what can happen. So let's go ahead and look at this. 30 years from now, you would have put in $108,000 at $300 a month. And if we use returns from 1952, this is the worst case scenario in the last 100 years using these numbers. You'd have 431,000. Second worst using numbers from 1949 would be 439,000. I always like to look at this blue column because we kind of kick out those outliers, those worst 5% of the time. And we look at 95% of the time using numbers for the last 100 years, you'd have 464,000. The median for a 30-year period in the last 100 years, you'd have 776,000. The best case scenario would be 1.9 million. So that's the range, wide range from 431,000 up to $1.9 million. Let's look at a different spreadsheet to give us a little bit more information on this. Did the same numbers here, beginning balance of zero, $300 a month. And here's what you put in over 30 years. I'm going to look at the 30-year column. Again, he's 34, wants to run it for 30 years. Put in 108,000. And again, the worst case scenario would be 431,000. We saw that was using numbers from 1952. If we did that, these are the numbers. The median would be 776 and the highest number would be 1.901. We saw that also. Notice how many of these are in the millions. In fact, the actual breakdown for the 30-year column is 82% of the time you'd have over 500,000, color-coded in green down through here. 30% of the time you'd have over a million, color-coded in blue. And there's actually 4% of the time, if we go down a little bit farther, that you'd have over 1.5 million. But watch what happens if you just go out 2 more years. Instead of 64, you had to go out at 66 or 68. You start seeing a lot more goals there, meaning you have more than, in fact, if you go to 34 years right here, 28% of the time you're getting to 1.5 million. But we want to stick with the 30-year here. Now, what would the buying power of these amounts be? You can see these are in the millions of dollars. Technically, you'd be a millionaire, but what kind of buying power would you have? We always like to look at that because 30 years down the road, this 431,000, again, that's the worst case scenario, isn't going to have the same kind of buying power it does today. How do we know what the buying power would be? Well, we're going to use a 3.2% inflation rate. And over the next 30 years, if you did that on this 431,000, that would have the buying power in today's dollars of $167,000. So all these numbers here are future dollars. This rectangle right here, we like to include what the buying power in today's dollars will be using this inflation rate. If we go out to age 64, if we go out to, for example, age 68, you'd have 761,000 in the worst case scenario, but the buying power would be 260,000. We always like to include these numbers because, again, these numbers sound pretty impressive, but you have to be realistic what the buying power might be. So let's do one more thing. They also gave us, remember, they gave us a Social Security number. This is where I have a little bit of an issue because I don't know at what age we're talking about. If we go ahead and pick $1,200 a month, if that's at age 67, that's kind of really a low amount. But they said to go ahead and run it at $1,200. Also, we need to know what expenses are going to be. And this kind of gives us a future idea. Do you have enough money? Because this 431,000 may sound like a lot of money, but what kind of buying power is it going to have? And how does it fit it with your current expenses that you might need? Let's say, for example, you might need $4,500 a month, which would be $54,000 a year. Over the next 30 years, this 4,500, you're going to need $11,577 approximately to have the same buying power. That see the impact inflation can have. That's why we look at this right here to see what kind of buying power would this have in these worst case scenarios. It's quite a bit lower than what looks like here in these numbers. So let's go ahead and look at the, let's see, you got expenses of 11,577. Social Security, we're using this 1,200 over the next 30 years. That's going to grow. We're going to use a COLA of 2.5%, which was this year's COLA. That's going to grow to 2,517. Now, that's if you take it at age 67. If you take it at age 64, you'll get 80% of that. That's what I'm a little bit questioning this number right here, if it's 1,200 or if that's what you get at age 64, which is 34 years from now. If it is, if this is what you get at age 67, you get 2,000 Social Security. You're getting 9,564. The reason I'm saying if this is the right number, that shows you running out of money. If you had these kind of numbers after 30 years, you'd run out of money at age 70 if you had to start withdrawing this right here. If you using the 95% of the time right here, you'd run out of money at age 71. In other words, none of these numbers look too good, even the median. But what happens if the Social Security is actually 2,000 instead of 1,200 at age 67? Then you're up to age 73, still kind of a problem, kind of a big problem, really. What would happen if we just made one minor little change? Again, if we just increase this $300 each year by 3% a year, I want you to watch this 73 here and watch it change. Go ahead and hit enter. Last till age 83. That's if you go out at age 64. And what we're doing here is showing you $300 the first year, 309, 318, and probably be barely negligible, barely noticeable, the change that you would need to increase that by 3% a year. And yet it took it from 73 to 83. So it looks like if in this scenario, let's go back to 1,200 just in case you was right. Now you're running out of money at age 75, even if you increase it by 3% a year. So it looks like 64, you're probably not going to be able to retire at age 64 with these kind of numbers because your money only be last until age 75, 5% of the time. In fact, the median will be last until age 94. But let's go ahead and start going. Let's go if you retire at age 65. Now your money's last until age 82, 95% of the time. Age 66, your money lasts. Again, that's if you do this 300 and increase that by 3% a year. If you don't do that, you don't increase at all, you stick with 3%. Now you're back down to the 78. So you might have to work a little bit longer. Age 67 gets you to age 87, and 68 finally gets your money lasting. In all these scenarios, even in the worst case scenario, your money's lasted to 102. So this is kind of crucial to know. Is that the number you're getting at age 67, say age 64, or what? And I wasn't given that information when they gave it to me. They just said Social Security 1,200. So I just wanted to run the numbers to show them. It looks like you might have to work a little bit longer than 30 years if you expect your money to last and you have this kind of money for Social Security coming in. And again, it all depends on your expenses. Now, if you go back to 60, let's go to 65, money's lasting until age 73. What happens if your expenses are only 4,000 a month? All these are variables that I was not given. So that would last till age 77. And again, if you went with the 3% COLA each year, increasing the 300, now your money lasts in all these different situations if this is your expenses. So the things we really don't know, what he gave us here is, what year is this for? What's this Social Security? It is going to grow, but how much does it grow? Are we taking it at age 65, 64, or so on? Because that depends. If you take it at 64, you only get 80% of what you would get if you waited till age 67. Again, your expenses, Social Security, all affects this. And also, if you can put in a little bit more money, it really affects how long your money lasts. But that's the kind of things we do on this channel. Sometimes I needed a little bit more information to run the numbers to give you a better idea because we didn't have expenses or we didn't have when this Social Security, this $1,200 a month. Is that for age 67 or 64 or 62 or whatever? But that's what we love doing on this channel. We love running numbers for people just to show you where you might be in the future. Please consider subscribing. Please share this channel with others. Let them know there's a channel out there that will run numbers. Somebody recently said your video is a one of a kind because we actually use numbers that have happened over the last 100 years, and we simply project ahead of what summary returns might do for you in the future. Please like the video, and thanks so much for watching.